It's Friday! Good morning, everybody. So we got another little project in the garage. I figured I'd give you a little inside. The customer asked me not to show too much, but I can show something. So this vehicle came in. It has an older MSD system, which is a multi-spark discharge for the ignition, if you don't understand that. If you're into racing, you know exactly what it is. It was a 6AL, which is an older MSD box, and we are upgrading. So we're going to do some upgrades to a grid system. So he wanted to go with a grid, MSD power grid, and the MSD, what do they call it? Ignition box that goes with it. Sorry. I had to think about that for a second. Obviously changing out, this is the original coil, which is only made for 6 series. And because we're running the grid, we now have to upgrade to what they consider 7 series. This black box that's mounted underneath is considered a 7 series ignition box that goes along with the power grid itself. This is a used unit, but it is good used. So we're just going through it, making sure. He does have a ARC switch panel. It's an 8 switch panel for power sources, which I like a lot. ARC, great company. He also picked up a Edelbrock Progressive, which is a nice little unit. They make multiple brands out there right now. Leash is another one. There's other companies. What I'm going to add to the mix is this nice little, it's almost like a accessory fuse panel. So each one of these is going to has its own fuse. It tells you whether or not they're powered up. You have your main power that comes in here. Let me pop this case off real quick. If I can. There we go. It's kind of nice, actually. It's about a $25 part. So you have your main power source comes in here. It powers up all of these with a fuse, and it tells you if you have power to them. And then you have what they consider a negative ground here that you can bring in. So any of your components that require a ground source, you can use this bus bars here for ground. So it's kind of nice, and it's small, and that'll mount too. So what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out where he wants to go with everything, and I'll show you the truck. It is a truck. It's an S10. So you can see the grill. We will not be showing you the motor. It is undercover. But it's a really nice truck. So, and we're starting to tear apart the old wiring, so it looks like a bomb went off in the passenger floor area. So it's a really nice truck. So let me just kind of show you where I'm at. So this was real scary. Let me just fix this little pad. I'm trying to, I don't want the door to hit. So yeah, what happens with a lot of cars is you end up wiring a car, and then you add to the wiring. When you add to the wiring, you tend to not repair the wires that were already needing repair. You just add to the wires. And I have been, the person that has done that to my own stuff in the past. So what I like to do, and it looks like a mess right now, but you should have seen it earlier. I'll post a picture of that in this video. I like to just get everything out, start fresh, figure out what I have, what I'm going to be using, and where we're going to put the components. Because what happens is he has this really nice ARC switch panel. This is the ribbon feed that goes to that relay fuse panel that I just showed you. he had it located all the way down here, hidden. So that's all great and grand. Problem was, he's got a power and a negative lug here, which is okay, and we're going to reuse those, but I want to make sure they're safer because he had about 15 wires on each, and it looked like spaghetti underneath here. And then if you open the glove box, you had a timer activated switch that was here for RPM activation, and then way back there behind the dash was his MSD. So it's nice that it was hidden, but the issue that I have with a hidden MSD is if you ever have a problem, how are you going to function, or how is it going to get worked on? And how are you going to figure it out? So yeah, it looks cool, but at the same time, functionality isn't always the greatest because you're way up underneath there behind a dash bar for the roll cage, and it's very difficult. So yeah, it looks like a mess right now. It's really not. I actually have all the wires laid out in some type of order that I understand where they are. I have them all marked. Obviously, you can see this is like an original, tack feed to the tachometer. We have other feeds here. One's for the actual radio because the radio does function. This is a street-driven truck. It is a really nice truck. The gentleman who owns it is a really good guy. I'm not going to disclose any information other than that. So, what we're thinking is actually mounting everything now over here. So between the two seats, you have this nice area kind of down here. And I can make a really nice panel and then mount everything here. So I measured it out. I have about an 18 by 10 inch area that I can actually fit everything if I want to. And that way we can actually make, so everything is mounted to it and everything plugs into it. So all your wires are hidden. They will run underneath the carpet to the back of the vehicle. And then your actual, panel that has all your electronics mounted, you can take it out. And that makes it a lot more accessible. And you can also get to it easier here. And it really isn't an eyesore unless you start looking for it. So that's what I like to do. So I'm just kind of mocking up. Sorry, I got something in my eye. So I'm just trying to mock up what we need as far as space. So right now it's 18 by 10. And what I like to do is before I start making anything at all, I take a cardboard. So this is just a larger than what we need. I got a tape measure and a ruler, and I'm just going to make a basic, cutout of the template, see how it looks in the truck, and then start placing all the components on this template and see how they fit. And as long as they fit good, I can actually use this and draw out where everything's going to go like a map. And I can actually even mark where I want wires to go, how I want them routed, if I want to clamp, hold the wires down, so on and so on. So this is a nice little way to do it. It'll make it nice and neat. We're going to do some trick stuff. I'm going to grab a piece of aluminum, and we're actually going to paint the aluminum, but we're going to make it look like carbon fiber. A gentleman asked me to do that to match. He has a gauge panel that is also painted to look like carbon fiber. So he just asked if I could do that. So yeah. So another project in the shop, and we'll kind of keep going. This one I'm actually going to video most of the electronics part of it. I'm not going to get crazy with the vehicle. You're not going to see all the ins and outs other than what I showed you and what I'm actually going to be mounting and how we're going to mount it. So keep watching. we got a layout here. I'm just going to put it in the truck now and see if it looks good in the truck or works. I'm trying to keep any wires, I'm trying to keep towards the back of the vehicle where the rug is, so I can actually run the wires under the rug, so that way you don't see them. I don't have to poke any holes in the rug. Try to keep it as neat as possible. So here's the layout. So he has 2 nitrous relays that are in the vehicle already that I'm going to reuse. Each one controls a solenoid, and I'm going to reuse all those. He has a trans brake relay that we are reusing. I just have to change all the wiring as far as the way it's routed right now. This would be the ARC fuse relay panel. 12 volt, meaning that's where the feed for 12 volts is going to come from. I'm going to put it in that direction. That's for our fuse box, which is our little bad boy right there. Negative is going to be on top. Positive will be in the bottom here, come through over here. Nitrous controller, Edelbrock. This is where all your terminals are for all your wire feeds, all your inputs and outputs. And then the MSD grid with the ignition box. All wires facing towards the driver's side behind the seat. So I can run any wires and hide them, clamp, put a nice little hold downs here and then run them underneath the rug and then up underneath to the front of the vehicle. So let's put this thing inside the truck and see what we got. And then I got to get approval from the customer to make sure this is okay. But I'm thinking my buddy is going to be okay with it. So let's see what we got here. So we just got to move the seatbelt out of the way. All right. So here's what we got. So that is going to mount kind of like right there, which I think will work out really well. I should be able to get to everything. So that way, if you have to service or work on anything, it's right there. So it'll be mounted to the floor on the back corners, and then I'll make extensions in the front. And as far as any wires, they'll come from the back side, or they'll go up underneath. So I think that's going to work. So I'm just going to send some pictures to the customer, and then we'll hopefully continue.